And this special counsel is headed. But first, let's just recap quickly how we got here, all right? On May 17th, Robert Mueller appointed to a special counsel following the firing of FBI Director James Comey. Then, on July 26th, FBI raids the home of Paul Manafort and questions his son-in-law. And then on August 5th, Mueller impanels a grand jury for which these charges are apparently coming from. But we have no idea that it is going to be Manafort for sure, or if it's going to be someone in addition to Manafort and Gates. One that comes to mind, certainly Mike Flynn, who was under scrutiny for his contacts, alleged contacts with the Russians, and actually fired for misleading Vice President Pence over that, or any of the other known targets of this investigation, guys.
All right. So, Griff, so Paul Manafort is a name we're familiar with because he was, as you just mentioned, former campaign chairman for Donald Trump. But this former business associate of his, Rick Gates, I'm reading on the New York Times mobile site, it says he is a longtime protege and junior partner of Mr. Manafort. His name appears on documents linked to companies that Mr. Manafort's firm set up in Cyprus to receive payments from politicians and businessmen in Eastern Europe, records reviewed by the New York Times show. Do we have any idea what sort of time frame we're talking about? Because earlier, that BuzzFeed article that came out yesterday suggested that Manafort had some suspicious wire transfers back in 2012, 2013, many years before he joined Trump.
That's right, Steve. So Manafort is known here in Washington as a very powerful man. So it will certainly be telling, and nobody knows perhaps better than Robert Mueller now how far back these dealings go or how widespread they are.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Gruff.
Evidently, the report goes on to say the FBI probe is looking into 13 suspicious wire transfers. As we mentioned even before the show started, and the big question, Steve, what you were zeroing in on, did this even happen? Has any of this even happened, activity happen during his months with President Trump?
He was under investigation for violations of federal tax law and money laundering, and then not disclosing his foreign transactions as a lobbyist.
Right, but if they're mentioning, if the New York Times is mentioning Manafort and Gates, and they work together, and there's the headline right there, Paul Manafort, who once ran Trump campaign, told to surrender, as was Mr. Gates. The two of them set up a firm, Manafort's firm set up in Cyprus to receive payments. I mean, we've heard about Ukraine, and we've heard about